Hello, and welcome to Shakespeare 2020 LA. Shakespeare 2020 LA is the Los Angeles division of Shakespeare Project 2020, a worldwide challenge created by Ian Desher to read the entire Shakespeare canon in 2020. Shakespeare 2020 is comprised of Los Angeles professional actors. Our reading today is Measure for Measure, and our players are Jason Rennie, Christopher Carbo, Taylor Marr, Sasha Venn, Megan Wells, Ron Dorn, Chris Klein, Ben Birmingham, John Eddings, Richard Conley, Emily Vasilos, Elizabeth Juvenal, Emily Redmond Hall, and Kimberly Keogh. I'm Mary Carrick. Measure for Measure was first performed in 1604, and it's the last of Shakespeare's comedies. The troublesome attempt at a happy ending magnifies the question, whose happy ending? Certainly for Isabella, who made a vow to a celibate life, her reward is to marry the Duke. There have been no overtures of attraction. The Duke, disguised as the friar, no separation of church and state here, may have been watching her, but the text offers no indication of feelings towards him. The chasm between Isabella and 9 times married Mistress Overdone exemplifies the disparity in the attitudes on sexuality. Isabella's vow of chastity and Overdone's idea that sex is merely a business transaction. We'd like to think that we're a more enlightened generation, and yet this play illuminates the war between the sexes. It's as fresh as ever. The Duke, who represents the law, must dictate that the man do the right thing. Angelo to Mariana and Lucio to Kate Keepdown. The term measure for measure refers to a legal concept that's central to the play. When a person commits a crime or sins, he or she is made to pay either by some sort of restitution or by suffering an amount that's equal to the suffering he or she has caused. And of course, in the Bible, Matthew says, "Judge not that you not be judged. For with the judgment you pronounce, you will be judged. And with the measure you use, it will be measured to you." Harold Bloom, in his book, Shakespeare, The Invention of Human, concludes that Shakespeare not only invented the English language, but also created human nature as we know it today. Measure for Measure is a complex study in human psychology, and it's a testament to Shakespeare's true genius and his insight into human nature. We hope that you'll enjoy this thought-provoking comedy, Measure for Measure.
Act 1, Scene 1, Vienna, the Duke's Palace. Enter Duke, Aeschylus, and an attendant.
Aeschylus.
My lord.
Of government the properties to unfold would seem in me to affect speech and discourse, since I am put to know that your science exceeds in that the lists of all advice my strength can give you. Then no more remains but that to your sufficiency, as your worth is able, and let them work. The nature of our people, our city's institutions, and the terms for common justice, you're as pregnant in his art and practice hath enriched any that we remember. There is our commission, from which we would not have you warp. Call hither, I say, bid come before us Angelo. What figure of us think you he will bear? For you must know we have with special soul elected him our absence to supply, lent him our terror, dressed him with our love, and given his deputation all the organs of our own power. What think you of it?
If any in Vienna be of worth to undergo such ample grace and honor, it is Lord Angelo.
Look where he comes.
Always obedient to your grace's will, I come to know your pleasure.
Angelo, there is a kind of character in thy life that to the observer doth thy history fully unfold. Thyself and thy belongings are not thine own so proper as to waste thyself upon thy virtues, they on thee. Heaven doth with us as we with torches do, not light them for themselves, for if our virtues did not go forth of us, 'twere all alike as if we had them not. Spirits are not finely touched, but to fine issues. Nor nature never lends the smallest scruple of her excellence, but like a thrifty goddess, she determines herself the glory of a creditor, both thanks and use. But I do bend my speech to one that can my part in him advertise. Hold, therefore, Angelo. In our remove, be thou at full ourself. Mortality and mercy in Vienna live in thy tongue and heart. Old Aeschylus, though first in question, is thy secondary. Take thy commission.
Now, my good lord, let there be some more test made of my metal before so noble and so great a figure be stamped on it.
No more evasion. We have with a leavened and prepared choice proceeded to you. Therefore take your honours. Our haste from hence is of so quick condition that it prefers itself and leaves unquestioned matters of needful value. We shall write to you, as time and our concerning shall importune, how it goes with us, and do look to know what doth befall you here. So, fare you well. To the hopeful execution do I leave you of your commissions.
Yet give me leave, my lord, that we may bring you something on the way.
My haste may not admit it, nor need you, on mine honour, have to do with any scruple. Your scope is as mine own, so to enforce or qualify the laws as to your soul seems good. Give me your hand. I will privily away. I love the people, but do not like to stage me to their eyes. Though it do well, I do not relish well their loud applause and aves vehement, nor do I think the man of safe discretion that does affect it. Once more, fare you well.
The heavens give safety to your purposes.
Lead forth and bring you back in happiness.
I thank you. Fare you well.
I shall desire you, sir, to give me leave to have free speech with you, and it concerns me to look into the bottom of my place, a power I have, but of what strength and nature I am not yet instructed.
'Tis so with me. Let us withdraw together, and we may soon our satisfaction have touching that point.
I'll wait upon your honor.
Act 1, Scene 2. A street in Vienna. Enter Lucio and 2 other gentlemen.
If the Duke with the other dukes come not to composition with the King of Hungary, why then all the dukes fall upon the king.
Heaven grant us its peace, but not the King of Hungary's.
Amen.
Thou concludest like the sanctimonious pirate that went to sea with the 10 commandments, but scraped one out of the table.
Thou shalt not steal?
Aye, that he raised.
Why, 'twas a commandment to command the captain and all the rest from their functions. They put forth to steal. There's not a soldier of all of us that in Thanksgiving before meat do relish the petition well that prays for peace.
I never heard any soldier dislike it.
I believe thee, for I think thou never wast where grace was said.
No, a dozen times at least.
What, in meter?
In any proportion or in any language.
I think, or in any religion.
Aye, why not? Grace is grace, despite of all controversy. As, for example, thou thyself art a wicked villain, despite of all grace.
Well, there went but a pair of shears between us.
I grant, as there may between the lists and the velvet. Thou art the list.
And thou the velvet. Thou art good velvet. Thou art a 3-piled piece, I warrant thee. I had as lief be a list of an English kersey as be piled as thou art piled for a French velvet. Do I speak feelingly now?
I think thou dost, and indeed with most painful feeling of thy speech. I will, out of thine own confession, learn to begin thy health, but whilst I live, forget to drink after thee.
I think I have done myself wrong, have I not?
Yes, that thou hast, whether thou art tainted or free.
Behold, behold, where Madam Mitigation comes. I have purchased as many diseases under her roof as come to
To what, I pray?
the judge.
To $3,000 a year.
Aye, and more.
A French crown more.
Thou art always figuring diseases in me, but thou art full of error. I am sound.
Nay, not as one would say healthy, but so sound as things that are hollow. Thy bones are hollow, and piety has made a feast of thee.
How now? Which of your hips has the most profound sciatica?
Well,
There's one yonder arrested and carried to prison was worth 5,000 of you all.
Who's that, I pray thee?
Marry, sir, that's Claudio. Signor Claudio.
Claudio to prison? 'Tis not so.
Nay, but I know 'tis so. I saw him arrested, saw him carried away, and, which is more, within these 3 days, his head is to be chopped off.
But after all this fooling, I would not have it so. Art thou sure of this?
I am too sure of it, and it is for getting Madame Giulietta with child.
Believe me, this may be. He promised to meet me 2 hours since, and he was ever precise in promise keeping.
And besides, it draws something near to the speech we had to such a purpose.
But most of all, agreeing with the proclamation.
Away, let's go learn the truth of it.
Thus, what with the war, what with the sweat, what with the gallows, what with poverty, I am custom shrunk. How now? What's the news with you?
Yonder man is carried to prison.
Oh, what has he done?
A woman,
But what's his offense?
groping for trouts in a peculiar stream.
What? Is there a maid with child by him?
No, but there's a woman with maid by him. You have not heard of the proclamation, have you?
What proclamation, man?
All houses in the suburbs of Vienna must be plucked down,
And what shall become of those in the city?
for they shall stand for seed. They had gone down too, but that a wise burgher put in for them.
But shall all our houses of resorts in the suburbs be pulled down?
To the ground, mistress.
Oh, why, here's a change indeed for the Commonwealth. What shall become of me?
Oh, come, fear not you. Good counselors lack no clients. Though you change a place, you need not change your trade. I'll be your tapster still. Courage! There will be pity taken on you. You that have worn your eyes almost out in the service, you will be considered.
What's to do here, Thomas Tapster? Let's withdraw.
Here comes Signor Claudio, led by the provost to prison. Oh, and there's Madame Juliet.
Fellow, why dost thou show me thus to the world? Bear me to prison where I am committed.
I do it not in evil disposition, but from Lord Angelo by special charge.
Thus can the demigod authority make us pay down for our offense by weight, the words of heaven. On whom it will, it will. On whom it will not so, yet still 'tis just.
Why, how now, Claudia? Whence comes this restraint?
From too much liberty, my Lucio, liberty. Acerphite is the father of much fast, so every scope by the immoderate use turns to restraint. Our natures do pursue, like rats and that raven down their proper bane, a thirsty evil, and when we drink, we die.
If I could speak so wisely under an arrest, I would send for certain of my creditors. And yet, to say the truth, I had as lief have the foppery of freedom as the morality of imprisonment. What's thy offense, Claudia?
What but to speak of would offend again?
What? Is it murder?
No,
Lechery?
call it so.
Away, sir. You must go.
One word, good friend. Lucio, a word with you.
100, if they'll do you any good. Is lechery so looked after?
Thus stands it with me. Upon a true contract, I got possession of Julietta's bed. You know the lady. She is fast my wife, save that we do the denunciation lack of outward order. This we came not to only for propagation of a dower remaining in the coffer of her friends, from whom we thought it meet to hide our love till time had made them for us. But it chances the stealth of our most mutual entertainment, with character too gross, is writ on Juliet.
With child, perhaps?
Unhappily even so. And the new deputy now for the Duke, whether it be the fault and glimpse of newness, or whether that the body public be a horse whereon the governor doth ride, who, newly in the seat, that it may know he can command, let it straight feel the spur. When the tyranny be in his place or in his eminence that fills it up, I stagger in. But this new governor awakes me all the enrolled penalties, which have, like unscoured armor, hung by the walls so long that 19 zodiacs have gone round, and none of them been worn. And for a name now puts that drowsy and neglected act freshly on me. 'Tis sorely for a name.
Yeah, I warrant it is. And thy head stands so tickle on my shoulders that a milkmaid, if she be in love, may sigh it off. Send after the Duke and appeal to him.
I have done so, but he's not to be found. I prithee, Lucio, do me this kind service. This day my sister should the cloister enter, and there receive her approbation. Acquaint her with the danger of my state, implore her in my voice that she make friends to the strict deputy, bid herself assay him. I have a great hope in that. And in her youth there is a prone and speechless dialect such as move men. Besides, she hath prosperous art when she will play the reason and discourse, and well she can persuade.
I pray she may, as well for the encouragement of the like, which else would stand in her grievous imposition, as for the enjoying of thy life, who I would be sorry should be thus foolishly lost at a game of tic-tac. I'll to her.
I thank you, good friend Lucio.
Within 2 hours.
Come, officer. Away.
Act 1, Scene 3. Friar Thomas' cell in the outskirts of Vienna. Enter Duke and Friar Thomas.
No, Holy Father, throw away that thought. Believe not that the dribbling dart of love can pierce a complete bosom. Why I desire thee to give me secret harbour hath a purpose more grave and wrinkled than the aims and ends of burning youth.
May your grace speak of it.
My holy sir, none knows better than you how I have ever loved the life removed, and held in idle price to haunt assemblies where youth and cost-witless bravery keeps. I have delivered to Lord Angelo, a man of stricture and firm abstinence, my absolute power and a place here in Vienna, and he supposes me travel to Poland, for so I have strewed it in the common ear, and so it is received. Now, pious sir, you will demand of me why I do this.
Gladly, my lord.
We have strict statutes and most biting laws, the needful bits and curbs to headstrong weeds, which for this 14 years we have let slip, even like an overgrown lion in a cave that goes not out to prey. Now, as fond fathers, having bound up the threatening twigs of birch only to stick it in their children's sight for terror not to use, in time the rod more mocked than feared, so our decrees, dead to infliction, to themselves are dead. And liberty plucks justice by the nose. The baby beats the nurse, and quite athwart goes all decorum.
It rested in your grace to unloosen this tied-up justice when you pleased, and it in you more dreadful would have seemed than in Lord Angelo.
I do fear too dreadful. Since 'twas my fault to give the people scope, 'twould be my tyranny to strike and gall them for what I bid them do. For we bid this be done when evil deeds have their permissive pass and not the punishment. Therefore, indeed, my father, I have on Angelo imposed the office, who may in the ambush of my name strike home, and yet my nature never in the fight to do in slander. And to behold his sway I will, as 'twere a brother of your order, visit both prince and people. Therefore, I prithee supply me with the habit, and instruct me how I may formally in person bear like a true friar. More reasons for this action at our more leisure shall I render you. Only this one. Lord Angelo is precise, stands at a guard with envy, scarce confesses that his blood flows or that his appetite is more to bread than stone. Hence shall we see, if power change purpose, what our seemers be.
Act 1, Scene 4. The Convent of St. Clare in Vienna. Enter Isabella and Francisca, a nun.
And have you nuns no farther privileges?
Are these not large enough?
Yes, truly, I speak not as desiring more, but rather wishing a more strict restraint upon the sisterhood, the votress of St. Clare.
Oh, ho, 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 peace be in this place.
Who's that which calls?
It is a man's voice. Gentle Isabella, turn you the key and know his business of him. You may, I may not. You are yet unsworn. When you have vowed, you must not speak with men, but in the presence of the prioress. Then, if you speak, you must not show your face, or if you show your face, you must not speak. He calls again. I pray you, answer him.
Peace and prosperity. Who is it that calls?
Hail, virgin if you be, as those cheek roses proclaim you are no less. Can you so stead me as bring me to the sight of Isabella, a novice of this place and the fair sister to her unhappy brother Claudio?
Why her unhappy brother? Let me ask, the rather for I now must make you know I am that Isabella and his sister.
Gentle and fair, your brother kindly greets you. Not to be weary with you, he's in prison.
Whoa, me? For what?
For that which, if myself might be his judge, he should receive his punishment in thanks. He hath got his friend with child.
Sir, make me not your story.
'Tis true. I would not, though 'tis my familiar sin with maids to seem the lapwing and to jest, a tongue far from heart, play with all virgins so. I told you as a thing enskied and sainted by your renouncement and immortal spirit, and to be talked with in sincerity as with a saint.
You do blaspheme the good in mocking me.
Oh, do not believe it. Fewness and truth, 'tis thus. Your brother and his lover have embraced, and those that feed grow full, as blossoming time that from the seedness the bare fallow brings to teeming poison. Even so her plenteous womb expresseth his full tilth and husbandry.
Someone with child by him, my cousin Juliet.
Is she your cousin?
Adoptedly, as schoolmaids change their names by vain though apt affection.
She it is.
Oh, let him marry her.
Oh, this is the point. The Duke is very strangely gone from hence, bore many gentlemen, myself being one, in hand and hope of action. But we do learn, by those that know the very nerves of state, his givings out were of an infinite distance from his true meant design. Upon his place, and with full line of his authority, governs Lord Angelo, a man whose blood is very snow broth, one who never feels the wanton stings and motions of the sense, but doth rebate and blunt his natural edge with profits of the mind, study and fast. He, to give fear to use and liberty, which have for long run by the hideous law as mice by lions, hath picked out an act under whose heavy sense your brother's life falls into forfeit. He arrests him on it, and follows close the rigor of the statute to make him an example. All hope is gone unless you have the grace by your fair prayer to soften Angelo. And that's the pith of my business twixt you and your poor brother.
Doth he so seek his life?
Has censured him already, and, as I hear, the provost hath a warrant for his execution.
Alas, what poor abilities in me to do him good.
Say the power you have.
My power, alas, I doubt.
Our doubts are traitors and make us lose the good we oft might win by fearing to attempt. Go to Lord Angelo and let him learn to know you. When maidens sue, men give like gods, but when they weep and kneel, all their petitions are as freely theirs as they themselves would owe them.
I'll see what I can do.
But speedily.
I will about it straight, no longer staying but to give the mother notice of my affair. I humbly thank you. Commend me to my brother. Soon, at night, I'll send him certain word of my success.
I take my leave of you.
Good sir, adieu.
Act 2, Scene 1. The Court of Justice in Vienna. Enter Angelo, Aeschylus, and a justice.
We must not make a scarecrow of the law, setting it up to fear the birds of prey and let it keep one shape, till custom make it their perch and not their terror.
Ay, but yet let us be keen, and rather cut a little than fall and bruise to death. Alas, this gentleman, who I would save, had a most noble father. But let your honor know, whom I believe to be most straight in virtue, that in the working of your own affections, had time coerced with place or place with wishing, or that the resolute acting of your blood could have attained to the effect of your own purpose, whether you had not some time in your life erred in this point which you now censure him and pulled the law upon you?
'Tis one thing to be tempted, Aeschylus, another thing to fall. I do not deny the jury passing on the prisoner's life may in the sworn 12 have a thief or two guiltier than him they try. What's open made to justice, that justice seizes. What knows the laws that thieves do pass on thieves? 'Tis very pregnant, the jewel we find, we stoop and take it, because we see it. But what we do not see, we tread upon and never think of it. You may not so extenuate his offense, for I have had such faults, but rather tell me, when I that censure him do so offend, let mine own judgment pattern out my death, and nothing come impartial. Sir, he must die.
Be it as your wisdom will.
Where's the provost?
Here, if it like your honor.
See that Claudio be executed by 9 tomorrow morning. Bring him his confessor, let him be prepared, for that's the utmost of his pilgrimage.
Well, heaven forgive him and forgive us all. Some rise by sin and some by virtue fall. Some run from breaks of ice and answer none, and some condemned for a fault alone.
Come, bring them away. If these be good people in a commonweal that do nothing but use their abuses in common houses, I know no law. Bring them away.
How now, sir, what's your name, and what's the matter?
If it please your honor, I am the poor Duke's constable, and my name is Elbow. I do lean upon justice, sir, and do bring in here before your good honor 2 notorious benefactors.
Benefactors? Well, what benefactors are they? Are they not malefactors?
If it please your honor, I know not well what they are, but precise villains they are, that I am sure of, and void of all profanation in the world that good Christians ought to have.
This comes off well. Here's a wise officer.
Oh, go to. What quality are they of? Elbow is your name? Why dost thou not speak, Elbow?
He cannot, sir. He's out at elbow.
What are you, sir?
He, sir, a tapster, sir, parcel bawd, one that serves a bad woman, whose house, sir, was, as they say, plucked down in the suburbs, and now she professes a hot house, which I think is a very ill house, too.
How know you that?
No, my wife, sir, whom I detest before heaven and your honor.
How, thy wife?
I, sir, whom I thank heaven is an honest woman.
Dost thou detest her, therefore?
I say, sir, I will detest myself also, as well as she, that this house, if it be not a bawd's house, it is pity of her life, for it is a naughty house.
How dost thou know that, constable?
No, marry, sir, by my wife, who, if she had been a woman cardinally given, might have been accused in fornication, adultery, and all uncleanliness there.
By the woman's means?
Aye, sir, by Mistress Overdone's means. But as she spit in his face, she defied him.
Sir, if it please your honor, this is not so.
Oh, prove it before these varlets here, thou honorable man.
Do you hear how he misplaces?
Sir, she came in great with child, and longing, saving your honor's reverence, for stewed prunes. Sir, we had but 2 in the house, which at that very distant time stood, as it were, in a fruit dish, a dish of some 3 pence. Your honors have seen such dishes. They are not china dishes, but very good dishes.
Go to. No matter for the dish, sir.
No, indeed, sir, not of a pin. You are therein in the right. But to the point, as I say, this Mistress Elbow, being, as I say, with child, and being great-bellied, and longing, as I said, for prunes, and having but two in the dish, as I said, Master Froth here, this very man having eaten the rest, as I said, and as I say, paying for them very honestly, for as you know, Master Froth, I could not give you 3 pence again.
No, indeed.
Very well. You being then, if you be remembered, cracking the stones of the foresaid prunes.
Aye, so I did.
Very well. I telling you then, if you be remembered, that such a one and such a one were past cure of the thing you wot of, unless they kept very good diet, as I told you.
All this is true.
Why? Very well then.
Come, you are a tedious fool. To the purpose. What was done to Elbow's wife that he hath caught to complain of? Come me to what was done to her.
Sir, your honor cannot come to that yet.
Sir, nor I mean it not.
Sir, but you shall come to it by your honor's leave, and I beseech you, look into Master Froth here, sir. A man of 80 pounds a year, whose father died at Hallowmass. Was it not at Hallowmass, Master Froth?
All Hallowed Eve.
Why, very well. I hope here be truths. He, sir, sitting, as I say, in a lower chair, sir. 'Twas in the bunch of grapes, where indeed you have a delight to sit, have you not?
I have so, because it is an open room and good for winter.
Why, very well then. I hope here be truths.
This will last out a night in Russia when nights are longest there. I'll take my leave and leave to you the hearing of the cause, hoping you'll find good cause to whip them all.
I think no less. Good morrow to your lordship. Now, sir, come. What was done to Elbow's wife? Once more.
Once, sir. There was nothing done to her once.
I beseech you, sir, ask him what this man did to my wife.
I beseech your honor, ask me.
Well, sir, what did this gentleman to her?
I beseech you, sir, look in this gentleman's face. Good Master Froth, look upon his honor. 'Tis for a good purpose. Doth your honor mark his face?
Aye, sir, very well.
Nay, I beseech you, mark it well.
Well, I do so.
Doth your honor see any harm in his face?
Why, no.
I'll be supposed upon a book. His face is the worst thing about him. Good then, if his face be the worst thing about him, how could Master Froth do the constable's wife any harm? I would know that of your honor.
He's in the right, constable. What say you to it?
First, and it like you, the house is a respected house. Next, this is a respected fellow. And his mistress is a respected woman.
By this hand, sir, his wife is a more respected person than any of us all.
Oh, varlet, thou liest, wicked varlet. The time is yet to come that she was ever respected with man, woman, or child.
Sir, she was respected with him before he married her.
Which is the wiser here, justice or iniquity? Is this true?
Oh, thou caitiff, oh, thou varlet, oh, thou wicked Hannibal. I respected with her before I was married with her. Ooh, if ever I was respected with her, or she with me, let not your worship think me the poor duke's officer. Prove this, thou wicked Hannibal, or I'll have mine action of battery on thee.
If he took you a box of the ear, you might have your action of slander too.
Mary, I thank your good worship for it. What is your worship's pleasure I shall do with this wicked caitiff?
You truly offer, sir, because he hath some offenses in him that would discover if thou couldst. Let him continue in his courses till thou knowest what they are.
Mary, I thank your worship for it. Thou seest, thou wicked varlet, now what's come upon thee. Thou art to continue now, oh, thou varlet, thou art to continue.
Where were you born, friend?
Here in Vienna, sir.
Are you of 80 pounds a year?
Yes, and please you, sir.
So, what trade are you of, sir?
A tapster, a poor widow's tapster.
Your mistress's name?
Mistress Overdone.
Hath she had any more than one husband?
9, sir. Overdone by the last.
9. plain. Come hither to me, Master Froth. Master Froth, I would not have acquainted with tapsters. They will draw you, Master Froth, and you will hang them. Get you gone, and let me hear no more of you.
Thank you, your worship. For mine own part, I'm never come into any room in a tap house, but I am drawn in.
Well, no more of it, Master Froth. Farewell. Come, you hither to me, Master Tapster. What's your name, Master Tapster?
Pompey.
What else?
Bum, sir.
Troth, and your bum is the greatest thing about you. So that, in the beastliest sense, you are Pompey the Great. Pompey, you are partly a bawd. Pompey, whosoever you color in it, being a tapster, are you not? Come, let me true. It shall be the better for you.
Sir, truly, sir, I'm a poor fellow that would live.
How would you live, Pompey? By being a bawd? What do you think of the trade, Pompey? Is it a lawful trade?
If the law would allow it, sir.
But the law will not allow it, Pompey, nor it shall not be allowed in Venice.
Does your worship mean to geld and splay all the youth of the city?
No, Pompey.
Truly, sir, in my poor opinion, they will do it then. If your worship will take order for the drabs and the knaves, you need not to fear the bonds.
There is pretty orders beginning, I can tell you, but it is heading and hanging.
If you head and hang all to defend that way, but for 10 years together, you'll be glad to give out a commission for more heads. If this law hold in Vienna 10 year, I'll rent the fairest house in it after 3 pence a bay. If you live to see this come to pass, say Pompey told you so.
Thank you, good Pompey. And in requital of your prophecy, hark you. I advise you, let me not find you before me again upon any complaint whatsoever. No, not for dwelling where you do. If I do, Pompey, I shall beat you to your tent and prove a shrewd Caesar to you. In plain dealing, Pompey, I shall have you whipped. So for this time, Pompey, fare you well.
I thank your worship for your good counsel. But I shall follow it as the flesh and fortune shall better determine. Whip me? No, no. Let Carmen whip his jade. The valiant heart's not whipped out of his trade.
Come hither to me, Master Elbow. Come hither, Master Constable. How long have you been in this place, Constable?
7 years and a half, sir.
I thought by the readiness in the office you had continued in some time. You say 7 years together.
And a half, sir.
Alas, it hath great pains to you. They do you wrong to put you oft on upon't. Are you not men in your ward sufficient to serve it?
Faith, sir, if you have any wit in such matters, as they are chosen, they are glad to choose me for them. I do it for some piece of money and go through with all.
Look, you bring me in the names of some 6 or 7, the most sufficient in your parish.
To your worship's house, sir?
To my house. Fare you well. What o'clock, think you?
11, sir.
I pray you home to dinner with me.
I humbly thank you.
It grieves me for the death of Claudio, but there is no remedy.
Lord Angelo is severe.
It is but needful. Mercy is not itself that oft looks so. Pardon is still the nurse of woe. But yet, poor Claudio, there is no remedy. Come, sir.
Act 2, Scene 2. An antechamber of the court. Enter provost and a servant.
He's hearing of a cause. He will come straight. I'll tell him of you.
I pray you do. I'll know his pleasure. Maybe he will relent. Alas, he hath but as offended in a dream. All sects, all ages smack of this vice, and he to die for it?
Now, what's the matter, Provost?
Is't your will Claudio shall die tomorrow?
Did I not tell thee yea? Hadst thou not order? Why dost thou ask again?
Lest I might be too rash, under your good correction, I have seen when after execution judgment hath repented o'er his doom.
Go to, let that be mine. Do your office or give up your place, and you shall be well spared.
I crave your honor's pardon. That shall be done, sir, with the groaning Juliet. She's very near her hour.
Dispose of her to some more fitter place, and that with speed.
Here is the sister of the man condemned, desires access to you.
Hath he a sister?
Aye, my good lord, a very virtuous maid, and shortly of a sisterhood, if not already.
Well, let her be admitted. See the fornicatress be removed. Let her have needful but not lavish means. There shall be order for it.
Save your honor.
Stay a little while. You're welcome. What's your will?
I am a woeful suitor to your honor. Please but your honor hear me.
Well, what's your suit?
There is a vice that most I do abhor, and most desire should meet the blow of justice, for which I would not plead, but that I must, for which I must not plead, but that I am at war twixt will and will not.
Well, the matter?
I have a brother is condemned to die. I do beseech you, let it be his fault, and not my brother.
Heaven give thee moving graces.
Condemn the fault, but not the actor of it. Why, every fault's condemned ere it be done. Mine were the very cipher of a function to find the faults whose fine stands in record and let go by the actor.
Oh, just but severe law. I had a brother then. Heaven keep your honor.
If not or so, to him again, entreat him. Kneel down before him, hang upon his gown. You are too cold. If you should need a pin, you could not with more tame a tongue desire it. To him, I say.
Must he needs die?
Maiden, no remedy.
Yes, I do think that you might pardon him, and neither heaven nor man grieve at the mercy.
I will not do it.
But can you, if you would?
Look, what I will not, that I cannot do.
But might you do it and do the world no wrong? If so, your heart were touched with that remorse as mine is to him.
He's sentenced. 'Tis too late.
Too cold.
Too late? Why, no. I that do speak a word may call it back again. Well, believe this. No ceremony that to great ones longs, not the king's crown, nor the deputed sword, the marshal's truncheon, nor the judge's robe, become them with one half so good a grace as mercy does. If he had been as you, and you as he, you would have slipped like him, but he like you would not have been so stern.
Pray you be gone.
I would to heaven I had your potency, and you were Isabel. Should it then be thus? No. I would tell what 'twere to be a judge and what a prisoner.
Aye, touch him. There's the vein.
Your brother is a forfeit of the law, and you but waste your words.
Alas, alas! Why, all the souls that were forfeit once, and he that might the vantage best have took found out the remedy. How would you be if he, which is the top of judgment, should but judge you as you are? Oh, think on that. And mercy then will breathe within your lips like man new made.
Oh, be you content, fair maid. It is the law, not I, condemn your brother. Were he my kinsman, brother, or my son, it should be thus with him. He must die tomorrow.
Tomorrow? Oh, that's sudden. Spare him, spare him. He's not prepared for death. E'en for our kitchens we kill the fowl of season. Shall we serve heaven with less respect than we do minister to our gross selves? Good, good, my lord, bethink you. Who is it that hath died for this offense? There's many have committed it.
Aye, well said.
The law hath not been dead, though it hath slept. Those many had not dared to do that evil, if the first that did the edict infringe had answered for his deed. Now 'tis awake, takes note of what is done, and like a prophet, looks in a glass that shows future evils. Either now or by the remissness new conceived, and so in progress to be hatched and born, are now to have no successive degrees, but ere they live, to end.
Yet show some pity.
I show it most of all when I show justice, for then I pity those I do not know, which a dismissed offense would after gall. to do him right that answering one foul wrong lives not to act another. Be satisfied. Your brother dies tomorrow. Be content.
So you must be the first that gives this sentence, and he that suffers? Oh, it is excellent to have a giant's strength, but it is tyrannous to use it like a giant.
That's well said.
Could great men thunder, as Jove himself does, Jove would ne'er be quiet. For every pelting petty officer would use his heaven for thunder, nothing but thunder. Merciful heaven, thou rather with thy sharp and sulphurous bolt splits the unwedgeable and gnarled oak than the soft myrtle. But man, proud man, dressed in a little brief authority, most ignorant of what is most assured, his glassy essence, like an angry ape, plays such fantastic tricks before high heaven as makes the angels weep, who with our spleens would all themselves laugh mortal.
Oh, to him, wench! He will relent. He's coming, I perceived.
Pray heaven she win him.
We cannot weigh our brother with ourself. Great men may jest with saints, 'tis wit in them, but in the less foul profanation.
Thou art in the right, girl, more that.
That in the captain's but a choleric word, which in the soldier is flat blasphemy.
Art advised of that? More on't.
Why do you put these sayings upon me?
Because authority, though it err like others, hath yet a kind of medicine in itself that skins the vice o' the top. Go to your bosom, knock there, and ask your heart what it doth know that's like my brother's fault. If it confess a natural guiltiness such as is his, let it not sound a thought upon your tongue against my brother's life.
She speaks, and 'tis such sense that my sense breeds with it. Fare you well.
Gentle, my lord, turn back.
I will bethink me. Come again tomorrow.
Hark how I'll bribe you. Good, my lord, turn back.
How? Bribe me?
Aye, with such gifts that heaven shall share with you.
You had marred all else.
Not with thonsicles of the tested gold, or stones whose rate are either rich or poor as fancy values them, but with true prayers that shall be up at heaven and enter there ere sunrise. Prayers from preserved souls, from fasting maids whose minds are dedicate to nothing temporal.
Well, come to me tomorrow.
Go to, 'tis well, away.
Heaven keep your honor safe.
Amen, for I am that way going to temptation where prayers cross.
At what hour tomorrow shall I attend your lordship?
At any time forenoon.
Save your honor.
From thee, even from thy virtue. What's this? What's this? Is it her fault or mine? The tempter or the tempted? Who sins most, huh? Not she, nor does she tempt. But it is I that, lying by the violet in the sun, do as the carrion does, not as the flower, corrupt with virtuous season. Can it be that modesty may more betray our sense than woman's lightness? Having waste ground enough, shall we desire to razz the sanctuary and pitch our evils there? Fie, fie, fie! What dost thou? What art thou, Angelo? Dost thou desire her foully for those things that make her good? Oh, let her brother live. Thieves for their robbery have authority when judges steal themselves. What? Do I love her, that I desire her to hear her speak again and feast upon her eyes? What is it I dream on? Oh, cunning enemy, that to catch a saint with saints dost bait thy hook. Most dangerous is that temptation that doth goad us on to sin in loving virtue. Never could the strumpet with all her double vigor, art, and nature once stir my temper, but this virtuous maid subdues me quite. Ever till now, when men were fond, I smiled and wondered how.
Act 2, Scene 3. The prison in Vienna. Enter Duke, disguised as a friar, and provost.
Hail to you, provost, so I think you are.
I am the provost. What's your will, good friar?
Well, bound by my charity and my blessed order, I come to visit the afflicted spirits here in the prison. Do me the common right to let me see them, and to make me know the nature of their crimes, that I may minister to them accordingly.
I would do more than that if more were needful. Ah, look, here comes one, a gentlewoman of mine, who, falling in the flaws of her own youth, hath blistered her report. He is with child, and he that got it, sentenced. A young man more fit to do another such offense than die for this.
When must he die?
I do think tomorrow. I have provided for you. Stay a while, and you shall be conducted.
Repent you, fair one, of the sin you carry.
Do, and bear the shame most patiently.
I'll teach you how you shall arraign your conscience, and try your penitence, if it be sound, or hollowly put on.
I'll gladly learn.
Love you the man that wronged you?
Yes, as I love the woman that wronged him.
So then it seems your most offenseful act was mutually committed.
Mutually.
Well, then was your sin of heavier kind than his?
I do confess it and repent it, Father.
'Tis meet so, daughter. But lest you do repent as that the sin hath brought you to this shame, which sorrow is always toward ourselves, not heaven, showing we would not spare heaven as we love it, but as we stand in fear.
I do repent it as it is an evil, and take the shame with joy.
There, rest. Your partner, as I hear, must die tomorrow, and I am going with instruction to him. Grace go with you. Benedicite.
Must die tomorrow? Oh, injurious love that respites me a life whose very comfort is still a dying horror.
His pity of him. Act 2, Scene 4. Angelo's offices at the court. Enter Angelo.
When I would pray and think, I think and pray to several subjects. Heaven hath my empty words, whilst my invention, hearing not my tongue, anchors on Isabel. God in my mouth, as if I did but only chew his name, and in my heart the strong and swelling evil of my conception. The state whereon I studied is like a good thing being often read, grown sere and tedious. Yea, my gravity, wherein let no man hear me, I take pride. Could I with boot change for an idle plume, which the air beats for vain? Oh, place, O form! How often dost thou with thy case thy habit wrench off from fools, and tie the wiser souls to thy false seeming? Blood, thou art blood. Let's write, good angel on the devil's horn. 'Tis not the devil's crest. How now? Who's there?
One Isabel, a sister, desires access to you.
Teach her the way. Oh, heavens, why does my blood thus muster to my heart, making both it unable for itself and dispossessing all my other parts of necessary fitness? So play the foolish throngs with one that swoons. Come all to help him, and so stop the air by which he should revive. And even so, the general subject to a well-wished king quit their own parts in an obsequious fondness crowd to his presence, where their untaught love must appear offense. How now, fair maid?
I am come to know your pleasure.
That you might know it would much better please me than to demand what 'tis. Your brother cannot live.
E'en so, heaven keep your honor.
Yet he may live a while, and it may be as long as you or I, yet he must die.
Under your sentence?
Yea.
When, I beseech you, that in his reprieve, longer or shorter, he may be so fitted that his soul sicken not.
Ha! Fie, these filthy vices. It were as good to pardon him that hath from nature stolen a man already made, as to remit their saucy sweetness that do coins God's image in stamps that are forbid. 'Tis all as easy falsely to take away a true life made, as to put metal in restrained means to make a false one.
'Tis set down so in heaven, but not on earth.
Say you so? Then I shall pose you quickly. Which had you rather, that the most just law now took your brother's life, or to redeem him gave up your body to such sweet uncleanness as she that hath sinned?
Sir, believe this. I had rather give my body than my soul.
I talk not of your soul. Our compelled sins stand more for number than for account.
How say you?
Nay, I'll warrant not that, for I can speak against the thing I say. Answer to this. I, now the voice of the recorded law, pronounce a sentence on your brother's life. Might there not be a charity in sin to save this brother's life?
Please you to do it. I'll take it as a peril to my soul. It is no sin at all, but charity.
Pleased you to do it at the peril of your soul, were equal poise of sin and charity.
That I do beg his life, if it be sin, heaven let me bear it. You granting of my suit, if that be sin, I'll make it my morn prayer to have it added to the faults of mine and nothing of your answer.
Nay, but hear me. Your sense pursues not mine. Either you are ignorant or seem so, crafty, and that's not good.
Let me be ignorant and in nothing good, but graciously to know I am no better.
Thus wisdom wishes to appear most bright when it doth tax itself, as these black masks proclaim an enmeshed beauty 10 times louder than beauty could displayed. But mark me to be received plain, I'll speak more gross. Your brother is to die.
So?
As his defense is so, as it appears, accountant to the law upon that pain.
True.
Admit no other way to save his life, as I subscribe not that, nor any other. But in the loss of question that you, his sister, finding yourself desired of such a person whose credit with the judge, or own great place, could fetch your brother from the manacles of the all-binding law, and that there were no earthly mean to save him, but that either you must lay down the treasures of your body to this supposed, or else let him suffer, what would you do?
As much for my poor brother as myself. That is, were I under the terms of death, the impression of keen whips I'd wear as rubies, and strip myself to death as to a bed that longing have been sick for, ere I'd yield my body up to shame.
Then your brother must die.
And 'twere the cheaper way. Better it were a brother died at once, than that a sister by redeeming him should die forever.
Were you not then as cruel as the sentence that you have slandered so?
Ignominy and ransom and free pardon are of 2 houses. Lawful mercy is nothing kin to foul redemption.
You seemed of late to make the law a tyrant, and rather proved the sliding of your brother a merriment than a vice.
Oh, pardon me, my lord. It oft falls out to have what we would have, we speak not what we mean. I something to excuse the thing I hate for his advantage that I dearly love.
We are all frail.
Else let my brother die, if not a federy, but only he owe and succeed by weakness.
Nay, women are frail too.
Aye, as the glasses where they view themselves, which are as easy broke as they make forms. Women help heaven, men their creation mar in profiting by them. Nay, call us 10 times frail, for we are soft as our complexions are, and credulous to false prints.
I think it well. And from this testimony of your own sex, since I suppose we are made to be no stronger, than faults may shake our frames. Let me be bold. I do arrest your words, be that you are, that is, a woman. If you be more, you're none. If you be one, as you are well expressed by all external warrants, show it now by putting on the destined livery.
I have no tongue but one. Gentle my lord, let me entreat you speak the former language.
plainly conceive, I love you.
My brother did love Juliet, and you tell me that he shall die for it.
He shall not, Isabel, if you give me love.
I know your virtue hath a license in it, which seems a little fouler than it is to pluck on others.
Believe me, on mine honor, my words express my purpose.
Aha! Little honor to be much believed and most pernicious purpose, seeming. I will proclaim thee, Angelo, look for it. Sign me a present pardon for my brother, or with an outstretched throat I'll tell the world aloud what man thou art.
Who will believe thee, Isabel? My unsoiled name, the austereness of my life, my vouch against you, my place in the state will so your accusation overweigh that you shall stifle in your own report and smell of calumny. I have begun, and now I give my sensual race the rein. Fit thy consent to my sharp appetite, lay by all nicety and prolixious blushes that banish what they sue for. Redeem thy brother by yielding up thy body to my will, or else he must not only die the death, but thy unkindness shall his death draw out to lingering sufferance. Answer me tomorrow, or by the affection that now guides me most, I'll prove a tyrant to him. As for you, say what you can, my false outweighs your true.
To whom should I complain? Did I tell this, who would believe me? Oh, perilous mouths, that bear in them one and the self-same tongue, either of commendation or of proof, bidding the law make curtsy to their will, hooking both right and wrong to the appetite to follow as it draws. Call to my brother. Though he hath fallen by prompture of the blood, yet hath he in him such a mind of honor, that had he 20 heads to tender down on 20 bloody blocks, he'd yield them up before his sister should her body stoop to such abhorred pollution. Then, Isabel, live chaste, and brother die. More than our brother is our chastity. I'll tell him yet of Angelo's request, and fit his mind to death for his soul's rest.
Act 3, Scene 1. The prison in Vienna. Enter Duke as a friar, Claudio, and Provost.
So then, you hope of pardon from Lord Angelo?
The miserable hath no other medicine but only hope. I have hope to live, and am prepared to die.
Will be absolute for death. Either death or life shall thereby be the sweeter. Reason thus with life. If I do lose thee, I do lose a thing that none but fools would keep. A breath thou art, servile to all the skyey influences that doth this habitation where thou keep'st hourly afflict. Merely thou art death's fool. For him thou labourest by thy flight to shun, and yet runnest toward him still. Thou art not noble, for all the accommodations that thou bearest are nursed by baseness. Thou art by no means valiant, for thou dost fear the soft and tender fork of a poor worm. Thy best of rest is sleep, and that thou oft provokest, yet grossly fearest thy death, which is no more. Thou art not thyself, for thou exists on many 1,000 grains that issue out of dust. Happy thou art not, for what thou hast not thou still strivest to get, and for what thou hast, forgett'st. Thou art not certain, for thy complexion shifts to strange effects after the moon. If thou art rich, thou art poor, for like an ass whose back with ingots bows, thou bearest thy heavy riches but a journey, and death unloads thee. Friend hast thou none, for thine own bowels, which do call thee sire, the mere effusion of thy proper loins do curse the gout, serpigo, and the rheum for ending thee no sooner. Thou hast nor youth nor age, but as it were an after-dinner sleep, dreaming on both, for all thy blessed youth becomes as aged, and doth beg the alms of palsied eld. And when thou art old and rich, thou hast neither heat, affection, limb, nor beauty to make thy riches pleasant. What's yet in this that bears the name of life? Yet in this life lie hid more 1,000 deaths. Yet death we fear, that makes these odds all even.
I humbly thank you. To sue to live, I find I seek to die, and seeking death, find life. Let it come in.
What ho! Peace here, grace and good company.
There, come in. This wish deserves a welcome.
Dear sir, ere long I'll visit you again.
Most holy sir, I thank you.
My business is a word or two with Claudio.
And very welcome. Look, Signor, here's your sister.
Provost, a word with you.
As many as you please.
Bring me to hear them speak, where I may be concealed.
Now, sister, what's the comfort?
Why, as all comforts are, most good indeed. Lord Angelo, having affairs to heaven, intends you for his swift ambassador, where you shall be in everlasting leisure. Therefore your best appointment make with speed. Tomorrow you set on.
Is there no other remedy?
None but such remedy as to save a head, to cleave a heart in twain.
But is there any?
Yes, brother, you may live. There is a devilish mercy in the judge, if you'll implore it, that will free your life, but fetter you till death.
Perpetual durance?
Aye, just perpetual durance of restraint, though all the world's vastity you had to a determined scope.
But in what nature?
In such a one as, you consenting to it, would bark your honor from that trunk you bear and leave you naked.
Let me know to the point.
Oh, I do fear thee, Claudio. And I quake, lest thou a feverous life shouldst entertain, and 6 or 7 winters more respects than a perpetual honor. Darst thou die? The sense of death is most in apprehension, and the poor beetle that we tread upon in corporal sufferance finds a pang as great as when a giant dies.
Why give you me this shame? Think you I can resolution fetch from flowery tenderness? If I must die, I will encounter darkness as a bride and hug it in mine arms.
There spake my brother. There my father's grave did utter forth a voice, yes, thou must die. Thou art too noble to conserve a life in base appliances. This outward sainted deputy, whose settled visage and deliberate word nips youth i' the head, and follies doth inew as falcon doth the fowl, is yet a devil. His filth within being cast, he would appear a pond as deep as hell.
The Prenzi Angelo.
Oh, 'tis the cunning livery of hell, the damnedest body to invest and cover in Prenzi guards. Dost thou think, Claudio, if I would yield him my virginity, thou mightst be freed?
Heavens, this cannot be.
Yes, he would give it thee. From this rank offense, so to offend him still. This night's the time that I should do what I abhor to name, or else thou diest tomorrow.
Thou shalt not do it.
Oh, were it but my life, I'd throw it down for your deliverance as frankly as a pin.
Thanks, dear Isabel.
Be ready, Claudio, for your death tomorrow.
Yes. Has he affections in him that thus can make him bite the law by the nose, when he would force it? Surely it is no sin, or of the deadly 7, it is the least.
Which is the least?
If it were damnable, he being so wise, why would he for momentary trick be perdurably fined? Oh, Isabel.
What says my brother?
Death is a fearful thing.
And shamed life a hateful.
Aye, but to die, and go we know not where, to lie in cold obstruction, and to rot this sensible warm motion to become a kneaded clod, and the delighted spirit to bathe in fiery floods, or to reside in thrilling region of thick-ribbed ice, to be imprisoned in the viewless winds and blown with restless violence round about the pendant world, or to be worse than worse of those that lawless and uncertain thought imagine howling. 'Tis too horrible. The weariest and most loathed worldly life that ache, penury, and imprisonment can lay on nature is a paradise to what we fear of death.
Alas, alas!
Sweet sister, Let me live. What sin do you have to save a brother's life? Nature dispenses what the deed so far that it becomes a virtue.
Oh, you beast! Oh, faithless coward! Oh, dishonest wretch! Wilt thou be made a man out of my vice? Is it not a kind of incest to take life from thine own sister's shame? What should I think? Heaven shield my mother played my father fair, for such a warped slip of wilderness ne'er issued from his blood. Take my defiance! Die! Perish! Might but my bending down reprieve thee from thy fate, if should proceed. I'll pray 1,000 prayers for thy death, no word to save thee. Oh, fie! Thy sin's not accidental, but a trade. Mercy to thee would prove itself a bawd. 'Tis best that thou dies quickly.
Oh, hear me, Isabel.
Vouchsafe a word, young sister, but one word.
What is your will?
Might you dispense with your leisure, I would by and by have some speech with you. The satisfaction I would require is likewise your own benefit.
I have no superfluous leisure. My stay must be stolen out of other affairs, but I will attend you a while.
Son, I have overheard what hath passed between you and your sister. Angelo had never the purpose to corrupt her. Only he hath made an essay of her virtue to practice his judgment with the disposition of natures. She, having the truth of honour in her, hath made him the gracious denial which he is most glad to receive. I am confessor to Angelo, and I know this to be true. Therefore prepare yourself to death. Do not satisfy your resolution with hopes that are fallible. Tomorrow you must die. Go to your knees and make ready.
Let me ask my sister pardon. I'm so out of love with life that I will sue to be rid of it.
Hold you there. Farewell. Provost, a word with you?
What's your will, father?
That now you are come, you will be gone. Leave me a while with the maid. My mind promises with my habit no loss shall touch her by my company.
In good time.
The hand that hath made you fair hath made you good. The goodness that is cheap in beauty makes beauty brief in goodness. But grace, being the soul of your complexion, shall keep the body of it ever fair. The assault that Angelo hath made to you, fortune hath conveyed to my understanding. And but that frailty hath examples for his falling. I should wonder at Angelo. How will you do to content this substitute and save your brother?
I am now going to resolve him. I had rather my brother die by the law than my son should be unlawfully born. But oh, how much is the good Duke deceived in Angelo! If ever he return and I can speak to him, I will open my lips in vain or discover his government.
That shall not be much amiss. Yet, as the matter now stands, he will avoid your accusation. He made trial of you only. Therefore, fasten your ear on my advisings. To the love I have in doing good, a remedy presents itself. I do make myself believe that you may most uprighteously do a poor wronged lady a merited benefit, redeem your brother from the angry law, do no stain to your own gracious person, and much please the absent duke, if peradventure he shall ever return to have hearing of this business.
Let me hear you speak farther. I have a spirit to do anything that appears not foul in the truth of my spirit.
Virtue is bold, and goodness never fearful. Have you not heard speak of Mariana, the sister of Frederick, the great soldier who miscarried at sea?
I have heard of the lady, and good words went with her name.
She should this Angelo have married, was affianced to her oath, and the nuptial appointed, between which time of the contract and limit of the solemnity her brother Frederick was wracked at sea, having that perished vessel the dowry of his sister. But mark how heavily this befell to the poor gentlewoman. There she lost a noble and renowned brother, in his love toward her ever most kind and natural. With him, the portion and sinew of her fortune, her marriage dowry. With both, her convenant husband, this well-seeming Angelo.
Can this be so? Did Angelo so leave her?
Left her in her tears, and dried not one of them with his comfort, swallowed his vows whole, pretending in her discoveries of dishonour, in few bestowed on her own lamentation, which yet wears for his sake. And he, a marble to her tears, is washed with them, but relents not.
What a merit were it in death to take this poor maid from the world. What corruption in this life that it let this man live. But how out of this can she avail?
It is a rupture that you may easily heal, and the cure of it not only saves your brother, but keeps you from dishonour in doing it.
Show me how, good father.
This forenamed maid hath yet in her the continuance of her first affection. His unjust unkindness, that in all reason should have quenched her love, hath, like an impediment in the current, made it more violent and unruly. Go you to Angelo. Answer his requiring with a plausible obedience. Agree with his demands to the point. Only refer yourself to this advantage. First, that your stay with him may not be long, that the time may have all shadow and silence in it, and the place answer to convenience. This being granted in course, and now follows all. We shall advise this wronged maid to stead up your appointment. Go in your place. If the encounter acknowledge itself hereafter, it may compel him to her recompense. And here, by this, is your brother saved, your honour untainted, the poor Mariana advantaged, and the corrupt deputy scaled. The maid will I frame and make fit for his attempt. If you think well to carry this as you may, the doubleness of the benefit defends the deceit from reproof. What think you of it?
The image of it gives me content already, and I trust it will grow to a most prosperous perfection.
It lies much in your holding up. Haste you speedily to Angelo. If for this night he entreat you to his bed, give him promise of satisfaction. I will presently to St. Luke's. There, at the moated grange, resides this dejected Mariana. At that place call upon me, and dispatch with Angelo that it may be quickly.
I thank you for this comfort. Fare you well, good father.
Act 3, Scene 2. A street outside of the prison. Enter Elbow and Pompey with officers, and the Duke as a friar.
Nay, if there be no remedy for it, but that you will needs buy and sell men and women like beasts, we shall have all the world drink brown and white bastard.
Oh, heavens, what stuff is here?
'Twas never merry world since of two usuries. The merriest was put down, and the worser allowed by order of law a furred gown, to keep him warm, and furred with fox and lambskins too, to signify that craft, being richer than innocency, stands for the facing.
Come your way, sir. Bless you, good Father Friar.
And you, good brother father, what offence hath this man made you, sir?
Marry, sir, he hath offended the law. And, sir, we take him to be a thief too, sir, for we have found upon him, sir, a strange picklock, which we have sent to the deputy.
Fie, sir, a bawd, a wicked bawd! The evil that thou causest to be done, that is thy means to live. Do thou but think what 'tis to cram a maw or clothe a back from such a filthy vice. Say to thyself, from their abominable and beastly touches I drink, I eat, array myself, and live. Canst thou believe thy living is a life so stinkingly depending? Go mend, go mend!
Indeed, it does stink in some sort, sir, but yet, sir, I would prove.
Nay, if the devil have given thee proofs for sin, thou wilt prove his. Take him to prison, officer. Correction and instruction must both work ere this rude beast will profit.
Oh, he must before the deputy, sir. He has given him warning. The Duke cannot abide a whoremaster. If he be a whoremaster and comes before him, he were as good go a mile on his errand.
That we were all, as some would seem to be, from our faults, as fault from seeming free.
Oh, his neck will come to your waist, a cord, sir.
Oh, I spy comfort. I cry bail. Here's a gentleman and a friend of mine.
How now, noble Pompey? What, at the wheels of Caesar? Art thou led in triumph? What, is there none of Pygmalion's images, newly made woman, to be had now, for putting the hand in the pocket and extracting it clutched? What reply, huh? What sayest thou to this tune, matter, and method? Is not drowned in the last rain, huh? What sayest thou, Trot? Is the world as it was, man? Which is the way? Is it sad in few words, or how? The trick of it.
Still thus and thus, still worse.
How doth my dear morsel thy mistress? Procures she still, huh?
Troth, sir, she hath eaten up all her beef, and she is herself in the tub.
Why, 'tis good. It is the right of it. It must be so. Ever your fresh whore and your powdered bawd, an unshunned consequence. It must be so. Art going to prison, Pompey?
Yes, faith, sir.
Why, 'tis not amiss, Pompey. Farewell. Go say I send thee thither. For debt, Pompey, or how?
For being a bawd, for being a bawd.
Well, then imprison him. If imprisonment be the due of a bawd, why, 'tis his right. Bawd is he, doubtless, and of antiquity too. Bawd born. Farewell, good Pompey. Commend me to the prison, Pompey. You will turn good husband now, Pompey. You will keep the house.
I hope, sir, your good worship will be my bail.
No, indeed will I not, Pompey. It is not the wear. I will pray, Pompey, to increase your bondage. If you take it not patiently, why, your metal is the more. Adieu, trusty Pompey. Bless you, friar.
And you?
Does Bridget paint still, Pompey? Huh?
Come your way, sir, come.
You will not bail me then, sir?
Then, Pompey, nor now. What news abroad, friar? What news?
Come your way, sir, come.
Go to kennel, Pompey, go. What news, friar, of the Duke?
I know none. Can you tell me of any?
Some say he is with the Emperor of Russia. Others some he is in Rome. But where is he, think you?
Well, I know not where, but wheresoever, I wish him well.
It was a mad, fantastical trick of him to steal from the state and usurp the beggary he was never born to. Lord Angelo dukes it well in his absence. He puts transgression to't.
He does well in't.
A little more lenity to lechery would do no harm in him. Something too crabbed that way, friar.
It is too general a vice, and severity must cure it.
Yes, in good sooth, the vices of a great kindred. It is well allied, but it is impossible to extirp it quite, friar, till eating and drinking be put down. They say this Angelo was not made by man and woman after this downright way of creation. Is it true, think you?
How should he be made, then?
Some report a sea maid spawned him, some that he was begot between two stockfishes. But it is certain that when he makes water, his urine is congealed ice. That I know to be true. And he is a motion generative. That's infallible.
You are pleasant, sir, and speak apace.
Why, what a ruthless thing is this in him. For the rebellion of a codpiece to take away the life of a man? Would the Duke that is absent have done this? Ere he would have hanged a man for the getting 100 bastards, he would have paid for the nursing 1,000. He had some feeling of the sport. He knew the service, and that instructed him to mercy.
I never heard the absent Duke much detected for women. He was not inclined that way.
Oh, sir, you are deceived.
'Tis not possible.
Who? Not the Duke? Yes, your beggar of 50, and his use was to put a ducat in her clack dish. The Duke had crotchets in him. He would be drunk, too, of that. Let me warn you.
You do him wrong, surely.
Sir, I was an inward of his. A shy fellow was the Duke, and I believe I know the cause of his withdrawing.
What, I prithee, might be the cause?
No, pardon. 'Tis a secret, must be locked within the teeth and the lips. But this I can let you understand. The greater file of the subject held the Duke to be wise.
Wise? Why, no question but he was.
A very superficial, ignorant, unweighing fellow.
Either this is envy in you, folly, or mistaking. The very stream of his life and the business he hath helmed must, upon a warranted need, give him a better proclamation. Let him be but testimonied in his own bringings forth, and he shall appear to the envious a scholar, a statesman, and a soldier. Therefore, you speak unskilfully. Or, if your knowledge be more, it is much darkened in your malice.
Sir, I know him and I love him.
Love talks with better knowledge, and knowledge with dearer love.
Come, sir, I know what I know.
I can hardly believe that, since you know not what you speak. But, if ever the Duke return, as our prayers are he may, let me desire you to make your answer before him. If it be honest you have spoke, you have courage to maintain it. I am bound to call upon you, and I pray you, your name.
Sir, my name is Lucio, well known to the Duke.
He shall know you better, sir, if I may live to report you.
I fear you not.
Oh, you hope the Duke will return no more, or you imagine me too hurtful and opposite. But indeed I can do you little harm. You'll forswear this again.
I'll be hanged first. Thou art deceived in me, friar. But no more of this. Canst thou tell if Claudio die tomorrow or no?
Why should he die, sir?
Why? Or filling a bottle with a tundish. I would the Duke we talk of were returned again. This ungenitured agent will unpeople the province with continency. Sparrows must not build in his house eaves because they are lecherous. The Duke yet would have dark deeds darkly answered. He would never bring them to light would he were returned. Marry, this Claudio is condemned for untrussing. Farewell, good friar. I prithee pray for me. The Duke, I say to thee again, would eat mutton on Fridays. He's now past it, yet, and I say to thee, he would mouth with a beggar, though she smelt brown bread and garlic. Say that I said so. Farewell.
No might nor greatness and mortality can censure scape. Back-wounding calumny, the whitest virtue strikes. What king so strong can tie the gall up in the slanderous tongue? But who comes here?
Go away with her to prison.
Good, my lord. Be good to me. Your honor is accounted a merciful man. Good, my lord.
Double and treble admonition, and still forfeit in the same kind. This would make mercy swear and play the tyrant.
A baud of 11 years' continuance, may it please your honor.
My lord, this is one Lucio's information against me. Mistress Kate Keepdown was with child by him in the Duke's time. He promised her marriage. His child is 1.25 years old, come Philip and Jacob. I have kept it myself. And see how he goes about to abuse me.
That fellow is a fellow of much license. Let him be called before us. Away with her to prison. Go to no more words. Provost, my brother Angelo will not be altered. Claudio must die tomorrow. Let him be furnished with divines and have all charitable preparation. If my brother wrought by my pity, it should not be so with him.
So please you, this friar hath been with him and advised him for the entertainment of death.
Good even, good father.
Bliss and goodness on you.
Of whence are you?
Not of this country, though my chance is now to use it for my time. I am a brother of gracious order, late come from the sea in special business from His Holiness.
What news abroad the world?
None but that there is so great a fever on goodness that the dissolution of it must cure it. Novelty is only in request, and it is as dangerous to be aged in any kind of course as it is virtuous to be constant in any undertaking. There is scarce truth enough alive to make society secure, but security enough to make fellowships accursed. Much upon this riddle runs the wisdom of the world. This news is old enough, yet it is every day's news. I pray you, sir, of what disposition was the Duke?
One that, above all other strifes, contended especially to know himself.
What pleasure was he given to?
Rather rejoicing to see another marry than marry at anything which professed to make him rejoice. A gentleman of all temperance. But leave we him to his events. With a prayer they may prove prosperous, and let me desire to know how you find Claudio prepared. I am made to understand that you have lent him visitation.
He professes to have received no sinister measure from his judge, but most willingly humbles himself to the determination of justice. Yet had he framed to himself, by the instruction of his frailty, many deceiving promises of life, which I, by my good leisure, have discredited to him, and now is he resolved to die.
You have paid the heavens your function, and the prisoner the very debt of your calling. I have labored for the poor gentleman to the extremest shore of my modesty, but my brother Justice have I found so severe that he hath forced me to tell him he is indeed Justice.
If his own life answer the straightness of his proceeding, it shall become him well. Wherein, if he chance to fail, he hath sentenced himself.
I am going to visit the prisoner. Fare you well.
Peace be with you. He who the sword of heaven will bear should be as holy as severe, pattern in himself to know grace to stand and virtue go, more nor less to others paying than by self offences weighing. Shame to him whose cruel striking kills for faults of his own liking. Twice treble shame on Angelo, to weed my vice and let his grow. What may man within him hide, though angel on the outward side? How may likeness made in crimes, making practice on the times to draw with idle spiders strings most ponderous and substantial things? Craft against vice I must apply. With Angelo tonight shall lie his old betrothed and despised. So disguise shall, by the disguised, pay with falsehood false exacting, and perform on old contracting.